Chapter 1488. 1 year after the war. Time flew by. Macmao, the only martial arts university of the human race. The 99 martial arts universities of the past had suffered heavy losses during the war. Less than 1 out of 10 martial artists survived, and they could no longer operate independently. Martial arts universities united, and MCMU became the only martial arts university after the war. Another year had begun. This was the first time martial arts universities were recruiting students after the war. The three realms were in chaos. There were still martial artists surviving in the catacombs. The three continents of new martial arts, the catacombs, and the human clan had merged. The mysterious power of the Forbidden Sea had disappeared. The demons had come ashore. Martial artists were indispensable. Outside the huge school gate, a large number of new students had already gathered. It had been a year since the war. In the past year, there had been post-disaster reconstruction, resistance against the catacombs, beginner martial arts, demon clan rioters, and restarting civilization. The human race had 1,000 things waiting to be done. Everyone had erupted with unprecedented strength. In the human world, order had been restored, and the overall strength of the human world surpassed that of the three realms, officially becoming the ruler of the three realms. MCMAU was the martial arts holy land that suppressed the three realms. Demons and devils emerged, the catacombs and Chuwu rebels were in turmoil, and the borders were not stable. Wherever MCMAU instructors and students went, there was no chaos, and the world was at peace. Even if there were powerhouses among the rioters and demons, when MCMAU's instructors and students arrived, no one dared to face them head-on. A man's name is like a tree's shadow. Who dared to go against the MCMAU controlled by King Fangping? He had killed the heavenly emperor and advanced to the inconceivable realm of a human king. Who would dare to offend him in MCMAU? Outside the school gate, in a year's time, most people had temporarily forgotten about their sorrow. The days still had to go on, and the human world once again regained its vitality. Among the new students, many of them cast envious glances at the tightly shut main gate of MCMAU. They took a few more glances at the Martial Arts Society members who stood ramrod straight at the entrance. These Martial Arts Society members, who had been through the fires of war, were more like soldiers who had experienced slaughter. There were only 2 people guarding the door, but there were hundreds of students and hundreds of parents outside. However, no one dared to make any noise. They were all extremely quiet and looked at the 2 people with admiration and respect. In the eyes of the human race, these students were no longer students, but heroes who protected the human race. In the Battle of the Three Realms, a large number of martial artists died for their Tao. When the war started, countless martial artists died in battle at the borders, protecting the safety of the world. Now, the number of martial artists was far less than before. Every living martial artist was a hero, a guardian who had experienced the baptism of slaughter. Wang Peng, guess what realm these 2 seniors are at? Some of the lively freshmen in the crowd whispered to their companions beside them, their faces filled with envy and worship. At least level 7. The young man called Wang Peng said with certainty. Then he couldn't hide his sorrow and said, "It's a pity. In the previous battle, the human clan lost too many experts. A large number of experts above the 9th grade great Grandmaster realm died in battle or were martyred. Today, although there were still many martial artists in the 3 realms, a large number of powerhouses had died in battle. Martial artists who cultivated the origin source were controlled by the immortal source. Most of the martial artists above rank 9 from the catacombs, the demon clan, and beginner martial artists had been killed. Most of the martial artists above rank 9 from the human clan had self-destructed and died for the Tao. Instead, There was a gap in high-end combat power. Rank 7. The young man who asked the question earlier had an envious look on his face. A rank 7, whether before or after the battle, could be called a grandmaster. Nowadays, there were not many powerhouses who survived. Apart from those top-notch powerhouses whose whereabouts were elusive, rank 7s were enough to intimidate an area. As for MCMAU, a rank 7 powerhouse was only here to guard the gate and welcome the new students. It was clear how strong MCMAU was. "I wonder what realm King Renhuang is at now," the young man said with some regret. "It's a pity that ever since the end of the Doomsday War, King Renhuang hasn't appeared again. I heard that in order to kill the Celestial Emperor, he was seriously injured and has been recuperating." After saying that, the young man became even more regretful. King Renhuang is still MCMAU's vice-chancellor now. According to the rules before the war, when new students enter the school and the vice-chancellor is around, he will go on stage and say a few words to encourage the new students. If that's the case, we can see King Renhuang's heroic bearing. "It's a pity," Wang Peng chuckled when he heard that. "What's there to regret? We'll see it sooner or later. In the future, we'll be considered King Renhuang's students. King Renhuang's recuperation is a big deal. I really hope the vice-chancellor can recuperate soon. Although most of the powerhouses have been killed, there are still some beginner martial artists and catacombs powerhouses who survived. I heard that there were saint powerhouses active in the Forbidden Sea area before this." As Wang Peng spoke, his expression became slightly gloomy. "Have you heard about the recent events?" "What?" "In the catacombs, some rebels are spreading rumors saying that King Renhuang has long." As soon as he said that, someone nearby snorted coldly and said through gritted teeth, "Don't believe those bastards' nonsense. King Renhuang upholds the ideals of the martial king and takes pity on all living beings. He didn't start a massacre in places like the catacombs, but he also said that he won't let go of any beasts who are stained with human blood. Those fellows who gathered in the Forbidden Sea area are all fellows whose hands were stained with human blood back then. They know that there's no way out, so they deliberately spread rumors to shake people's hearts. Why don't they take a look and see who dares to respond to them?" The one who spoke was a middle-aged martial artist. He was not a new student, but a parent. As he spoke, the middle-aged man's expression became colder and colder. He looked around. King Renhuang is incomparably strong. He has never been defeated in 100 battles, and he is invincible. Since his debut, he has never been defeated. Even the Celestial Emperor was killed by him. The 3 realms have returned to peace, and King Renhuang deserves the most credit. He might have suffered some injuries, but to say that King Renhuang died in battle, humph! The middle-aged man did not continue. Recently, there were rumors from the rebels at the border that Fong Ping had died in the battle that day. If not, why had Fong Ping not shown up a year after the battle? With Fong Ping's personality, when had he been in seclusion for so long? Of course, no one dared to confirm that Fong Ping was really dead. No matter how the rebels spread the rumors, not many people dared to respond. Fong Ping was a miracle. If he did not die and was still alive, who dared to show up now? It would probably be another massacre. King Renhuang was not as easy to talk to as King Renhuang. In the past, there were King Renhuang and King Subduing King suppressing him. Now, King Renhuang had become a Taoist, and King Subduing King had also disappeared in the final battle. There were also rumors that all the powerhouses who participated in the battle that day had died. Without these people suppressing him, if the King of Man were to get angry, which of the catacombs, the fledgling martial artists, and the demon race would be able to withstand the King of Man's rage? The middle-aged man did not believe that King Renhuang had died in the Doomsday battle. When the others heard this, they all nodded. Exactly. How could Fong Ping have died in that battle? He was only injured, which martial artist would not be injured. It was just that this injury had indeed lasted for a long time. Fortunately, there were many human powerhouses. The catacombs had suffered heavy losses this time. Even if King Renhuang did not show up, the other parties could not do anything to the human race. It was just that after a long time, there might be some unrest. The human race could suppress the three realms now mainly because of King Renhuang and the others. Everyone knew that King Renhuang had become a Taoist, king subduing king, and the others had not appeared or returned. They were probably already dead. Only King Renhuang was believed to be alive. Without King Renhuang to suppress the three realms might not always be at peace. The human race had just experienced a great battle. If there was another conflict, although they were not afraid and firmly believed that the human race could suppress everything, there were not many martial arts powerhouses left. If more people died, it would only add to the sorrow. The crowd's discussion gradually subsided. They waited for MCMAU's gate to open, hoping that King Renhuang would come out as soon as possible. Macmao, on the top floor of the school archives. A few figures stood there. In front of the crowd, Wu Quishan's face was pale. He turned to look at the determined Chen Yunxi and said in a low voice, "There's some unrest in the sea. The catacombs are also a little restless, including King subduing King. The catacombs have suffered great losses, but there's nothing to be afraid of. The demons have also suffered heavy losses, but they can be suppressed. Only King subduing King, because there are not many martial artists who cultivate the origin path. The remaining powerhouses are the most. Many King subduing King powerhouses are still alive. The human race suppresses the three realms. King Renhuang and the others. If any of them stand out, no one will dare to say anything." But Wu Quishan said, his face sorrowful, but no one could stand out. King Renhuang had fallen. King subduing King was missing. They probably also died in the battle that day. That day, they fell into a deep sleep one after another and did not see the last moment. They only knew that when they woke up, the battle was over. However, they were all gone. There was no heavenly emperor, no Fong Ping, no king subduing king, no Old Wang, no Qin Feng Qing. They were all gone. Even Heaven Cat and Sky Dog were gone. Was he dead or alive? They dared not think about it. They could only spread the word that Fong Ping was still alive, but he was injured and in the process of healing. It was Fong Ping who resolved the turmoil. However, Fong Ping did not show up. If this continued, there would definitely be chaos everywhere. Beginner martial artists, the catacombs, and the demons were not easy to deal with. Now that they had succumbed to King Renhuang's prestige, they dared not do anything excessive. However, if Fong Ping did not show up for 3 years, 5 years, 10 years, when that time came, there would be trouble. Was Fong Ping dead? Wu Quishan dared not think about it. He did not want to think about it. However, with Fong Ping's personality, if he was not dead, how could he not return? Now, a year had passed since the end of the battle. Fong Ping still had not returned. He was afraid that he did not continue. Beside him, Chen Yunxi said firmly, "Vice Chancellor, he will come back. He definitely will. As for us, what we need to do now is to protect MCMAU, protect the human race. When he comes back, let him see a prosperous human race, not a wasteland. Those rebels are nothing to be afraid of. So what if they are beginner martial artists? If they dare to cause trouble, they will be killed without mercy. If he is not here, we are still here." Compared to the delicate and gentle back then, today's Chen Yunxi's tone was cold and unusually iron-blooded. This prosperous era was won by countless people with their lives and blood. This three realms was saved by Zhang Tao and Fong Ping. What right did those fellows have to rebel? If they were dissatisfied, they would just kill them. How could a prosperous era not be stained with blood? Wu Quishan glanced at Chun Yunshi and sighed softly in his heart. The Chun Yunshi of today was still different from before. When Fang Ping went missing, she did not cry or grieve. In this year, she went on expeditions everywhere, killed countless people, and pacified the chaos. Also that this prosperous era would last forever, so that when Fang Ping returned, he could see the prosperous era that he wanted to see. However, could Fang Ping still return? Fairy Sword Chun Yunshi's name had changed. In the other two mainlands, it was Demon Sword, blood-stained elegance. On the other side, Zhao Xuemei's blood was boiling. Her tone was icy. Who dares to rebel? Just kill them. I wasn't afraid back then, let alone now. Most of the beginner martial powerhouses in the catacombs have fallen. Those who are still alive are also scared out of their wits. Whoever dares to rebel have a taste of my Zhao Xuemei's sky splitter. On the other side, Fu Changding yawned and said lazily, don't make it so serious. If Fang Ping doesn't return, will MCMEU continue? Nurture more powerhouses. We can't kill anymore, so let the students do it. Who hasn't gone through this? Now, we're much stronger than back then. Back then, we couldn't even conquer a catacombs. Now, at least we're the dominators. Fu Changding chuckled. Today is the start of school. This is the first batch of students after the war. I hope there will be a few good seedlings. Thinking back, our batch, TSK, was amazing. Fu Changding said smugly, let's not talk about that monster Fang Ping. Yunshi, Xuemei, me, Xiaoman, we're all amazing people whose names shook the three realms. As soon as he said that, a burst of laughter came from beside him. There was no mockery, only kindness. Indeed, that batch was too amazing. However, with Fang Ping's presence, the others were not too conspicuous. Now that Fang Ping was not around, these people gradually stepped onto the stage and became the famous powerhouses in the three realms. In the past, there was Zhao Lei, Tang Songting, Jin Lei, this group of people who participated in the martial arts competition with Fang Ping. However, these people had died in battle. Other than Zhao Lei and Fang Ping, who were not around, the rest of the main battle team of the first Martial Arts University Championship were still alive. After saying a few words to liven up the atmosphere, Fu Changding quickly became serious. He said softly, let's just talk. Fang Ping's not showing up is indeed troublesome. Although we're not afraid, now is not the time for trouble. The war has just ended. If we continue fighting, we'll still be exhausted. If more people die, Fu Changding took a deep breath, thought for a while, and said, today is the start of school in MCMAU. This is a big event. Logically, if Fang Ping's injuries are not serious, he should appear. If nothing goes wrong today, I'm afraid there will be powerhouses secretly watching. If Fang Ping is not seen, I'm afraid there will be trouble. There were still some powerhouses left in the catacombs. There might even be heavenly kings alive. Of course, whether there were heavenly kings or not was still uncertain. However, everyone knew that there were saint-level powerhouses now. As for the humans, most of the powerhouses had self-destructed that day. In order to cut off the immortal source, countless top-level powerhouses had died. Now, MCMAU's Wu Quishan was shouldering the burden. However, Wu Quishan had only just entered the Saint realm. The injuries he suffered in the previous battle were not light and had not recovered until now. The foundation of the humans was not as strong as the other two continents. Fang Ping and Li Zhen's two batches had brought away most of the humans' higher-ups and powerhouses. The humans were not weak in terms of their core strength. Fu Changding and the others who were still growing had entered Emperor Level 1 after another. However, once the war started, someone might die again. Wu Quishan sighed in his heart. He felt helpless too. Zhang Tao, that bastard, had thrown this mess to him that day. He was under a lot of pressure now. There was also Fang Ping, that little bastard. He had sent that Li Changsheng guy away. No one knew whether that guy was dead or alive. If Li Changsheng was here, once the longevity sword was unleashed, even a heavenly king would be beheaded. Who would dare to rebel? Thinking about it, Wu Quishan, as the oldest human powerhouse, quickly answered, "Of course they're watching. However, these guys only dare to observe from afar. Who would dare to break into MCMAU without permission? Even if Fang Ping didn't appear, they wouldn't dare to act rashly. In a few years, when you guys become saints, they won't dare to act recklessly." Wu Quishan exhaled. Today, Fang Ping was not here. King Wu was not here. Everyone was not here. In this MCMAU, in this world, it was time for him, Snake King, to hold the fort. He was a saint-level powerhouse, after all, with the divine weapon left by Fang Ping and the others to suppress him. Even if a heavenly king really came, he would still dare to fight. He just did not know, in this 3 realms, did a heavenly king survive? He hoped not. Today, a saint had appeared, but a heavenly king had not been seen. If a few saints came, he still had the confidence to deal with them. At this moment, beside him, Lu Fengru frowned slightly. Should we invite that person to hold the fort? Wu Quishan was slightly stunned. Then, his expression changed slightly. No need. That guy isn't human after all. He might not be reliable. When Fang Ping and the others were here, they said that he's good at judging the situation. He's also afraid of death. If there are humans who can suppress him, he won't dare to rebel. However, if there's no one who can suppress him, then he might not be reliable. As soon as he said that, everyone knew who they were talking about. Fu Changding curled his lips. This guy really knows how to live. In the battle at New Martial Arts, all those who broke 8 died, but he's still alive. Now, this guy can be considered the only heavenly king powerhouse among the known powerhouses, right? The only heavenly king powerhouse. King Huai. Wu Quishan also smiled bitterly. That day, King Huai helped the humans fight. At the last moment, Minister Li and the others did not attack him. At that time, the humans had already taken control of the situation. Later on, he was martyred. That guy didn't die. We can't just kill him, right? He fought for the humans, so we should be more particular. If he didn't die, then let him live. Who knew? Wu Quishan was also helpless. On that day, there were hundreds of heavenly kings in New Martial Arts mainland, and a large number of them broke 8. Almost all the powerhouses died in battle. The humans won a great victory. In the later stage, in order to break into the immortal source, the human powerhouses died. In the end, an anomaly like King Huai was involved. There was no way to kill him. In the end, King Huai survived. Everyone was a little helpless. The human heavenly kings were all martyred. The other heavenly kings were all killed. King Huai did not die. Instead, he became the strongest survivor. Fortunately, this guy was tactful. He was also afraid of the reputation of Fang Ping and the others. He had been recuperating in the Forbidden Sea area and did not dare to provoke the humans. However, if it was to invite the other party to guard the humans, Wu Quishan would not dare to do something like inviting a wolf into the house. Once the other party knew that Fang Ping was missing in 3 to 5 years, or even in 30 to 50 years with King Huai's cautiousness, he probably would not dare to rebel. But after 100 years... Now, the best way was to keep a certain distance so that the other party could not figure out the details. If they invited King Huai to MCMU, would it not tell King Huai that Fang Ping was indeed missing? Everyone discussed for a while, but there was no better way. Soon, everyone left the rooftop one after another. In the blink of an eye, only Chen Yunxi, Zhao Xuemei, and a few others were left on the rooftop. Chen Yunxi kept staring down. After a long time, she said softly, "In the past, he liked to stand here and look down on MCMAU. Maybe only here can he feel responsibility." Behind her, Fu Changding pursed his lips and muttered, "You're thinking too much. He can only fool idiots like you." That was purely to pretend to be 13. Chen Yunqi turned to glare at him. Beside her, Zhao Xuemei's eyes flashed with a cold glint. She looked like she would beat him to death if he dared to expose her again. Fu Changding was helpless. "I'm just telling the truth. Do you think I don't know what that guy is thinking?" Chen Yunqi ignored him. She took a deep breath and said in a low voice, "He left a golden age for the humans. This golden age cannot be destroyed in our hands." Having said that, her face was cold and her tone was chilly. "Today, someone will definitely spy on MCMAU and find out the truth. The vice-chancellor does not want to be nosy at this time, but with Fang Ping's personality, if he is really here, how can he not care? He cannot be violated by others. If someone spies on MCMAU later, I will definitely kill him. If I win, the others will naturally retreat. If I lose, if he lost, if Fang Ping let her be injured and did not make a move, then he would reveal his true colors." Chen Yunqi took another deep breath and said coldly, "There is no such thing as losing, only winning. Whoever dares to spy, I will strike like a thunderbolt and kill them. All of you don't need to make a move. I will kill a few people, and MCMU will be stable for a few years. After a few years, all of you will have hopes of entering the Saint realm. In terms of talent and toughness, I am not as good as all of you. I entered the Emperor level by luck. Xuemei, all of you are the real Emperor level who have fought and killed your way through. Unlike me, your chances of entering the Saint realm are higher than mine." Yunqi, Zhao Xuemei's expression was cold and stern. She looked at Chen Yunqi and said in a low voice, "What do you want to do?" "Nothing." Chen Yunqi laughed. "When I was captured that day, Fang Ping was worried that there would be people who would target me later, so he left me some trump cards. This time, whoever dares to court death, I will use my trump cards to kill them. Don't worry, I won't die, and I don't want to die. I still want to wait for him to come back, to see this golden age. It's just some injuries. Now that he's not here, the injuries are too serious. I'm worried that the injuries will affect my advancement. It's not a separation of life and death. All of you don't have to think too much." As soon as she said that, Fu Changding wanted to say something, but stopped. After a long time, he sighed softly. "You're right. Originally, I should stop you, but forget it. If that guy can really come back, some of his injuries can be healed. If he can't come back, it's still necessary to intimidate everyone. Xuemei, and I can deal with Emperor level, but if we encounter a saint, I'm afraid we'll be powerless and show our fear instead." Zhao Xuemei pursed her lips and did not say anything else. Chen Yunqi, using her trump cards to kill a few spies and intimidate everyone, could indeed buy some time for everyone, as long as there was someone among them who advanced to saint. Even if Fang Ping really could not return, they could still protect this golden age to continue. Compared to the overall situation of the human race, Chen Yunxi's injuries were also weighed by the few of them now. Naturally, they did not have too much of a childish mentality. They discussed for a while. At this moment, on the big field, the opening ceremony had already begun. The new students entered the school, and entered one after another. The remaining MCMAU instructors and students from various martial arts universities after the great battle were now protecting and intimidating everyone. MCMU was still powerful. At the same time, the catacombs, new martial arts, Forbidden Sea, in various places, mirror-like images appeared one after another in front of the powerhouses. In the depths of the Forbidden Sea, an image appeared in front of King Huai. It was the scene of MCMAU. Beside him, a chubby middle-aged man bared his teeth at the sight and muttered, "King Huai, you may want to die, but I don't want to die. I'll leave now. You're spying on MCMAU. Be careful not to lose your little life. Damn you, if I knew earlier, I wouldn't have come." King Huai chuckled. "Do you think I'll court death? I'm not spying on MCMAU. I'm protecting MCMAU. If someone makes trouble today and King Ren can't return, I'll naturally make a move to kill the rascals." Having said that, King Huai looked into the void. No one knew who he was talking to. He smiled and said, "If Lord Kingren heard this, please forgive me. If Snake King did not invite me, I wouldn't dare to trespass on the human race. However, if Lord Kingren is not in the human race, I can't let the human race be bullied by rascals. Lord Kingren's teachers and friends are in MCMAU. I can't sit back and watch something happen to them." Beside him, King Pingshan clicked his tongue. He had even found an excuse. If Kingren did not appear, then so be it. If he did appear, and this guy said that, would Kingren find trouble with him? Sure enough, not only did King Huai say it, but he also used a crystal to record it. Finally, he even invited King Pingshan to be a witness. He smiled and said, "King Pingshan is also here. King Pingshan, and I will protect the human race together. I dare not let anyone offend the human race." King Pingshan grimaced and reluctantly became a witness. When King Huai put away the crystal, he curled his lips and said, "Treacherous guy, aren't you afraid that King Ren will kill you without listening to your explanation if he's really here?" King Huai laughed. "How can that be? I didn't do anything. I said it was to protect the human race and MCMAU. When spying, my mentality should be more friendly. Even if Lord Kingren is really here, he won't kill without a word, right? As for my mentality being shattered, it's nothing. When Lord Kingren appears, I will naturally explain it clearly. Don't worry, I'm not the kind of person who seeks death." King Pingshan clicked his tongue. Soon, he transmitted his voice. "You said that, King Ren." King Huai looked serious and scolded, "King Ren is invincible. Naturally, nothing will happen to him. Even the Heavenly Emperor is no match for Lord Kingren. In this 3 realms, Lord Kingren is an invincible existence. Who can kill him? King Pingshan, don't talk nonsense. Be careful not to lose your life." "Bah." King Pingshan looked disdainful. "Didn't you want to know whether it was true or false? That's why you spied. Everyone knew very well. Why are you pretending?" However, even if King Huai was discovered, if King Ren really appeared, he probably would not die. After thinking about it, a huge panel suddenly appeared in front of King Pingshan. On it was engraved, "Humans are invincible. King Ren is invincible. Protect the human race until death." King Pingshan placed the huge panel on his head. Only then did he look at the water screen in front of him with peace of mind. King Ren's mentality was invincible. With a glance and this board, he should understand his painstaking efforts. There was no need to explain. If he really appeared, he probably would not kill him, right? As for King Huai, it was a problem whether he could take out the crystal in time. What an idiot! When King Huai saw it, his expression changed. This guy's desire to live was stronger than his. Quite clever. After thinking about it, a moment later, King Huai also erected a huge stone tablet in front of him. "Protect the human race. Die 10,000 times. Those who offend the human race, die 10,000 times." After erecting the stone tablet, King Huai was relieved. Now, even if he was discovered, there would not be a big problem, right? For a moment, the two finished the preliminary work. They looked at each other. revealing a look of kindred spirits. As expected, they were kindred spirits. The two despised the other snoopers. They did not even take safety measures. Once Kingren really appeared, they could only wait for death. P.S. The new book has to be postponed. These days, I have been writing some chapters to practice and make preparations. The reason was mentioned last time. I am getting married at the beginning of next month. I am worried that the new book will not be stable. Chapter 1489. In the sea, the wind and clouds surged. The first school opening ceremony after the MCMU war attracted the attention of the three realms. Ever since the end of the war, the disappearance of the Celestial Arch and the Human King, and the recovery of the three realms for a year, there had been minor chaos, but there had never been major chaos. A battle between venerable sovereigns and above had never broken out. The might of a sovereign personage suppressed the three realms. Who dared to disturb the human race? With the unification of the three realms, the human race suppressed the three realms, and no one dared to disobey. However, a year after the three realms recovered, no human sovereign personages had appeared. The strongest human expert, the snake King Wu Quishan, was barely at the sage realm. Furthermore, he was injured. After a year, someone in the three realms could no longer sit still. Beginner, Catacombs, Forbidden Sea Demon Clan, which of the three forces did not have a legacy of more than 10,000 years? In the past, experts were as common as clouds, and the human world was nothing more than a mortal world. Only when the human sovereign personage appeared and suppressed the three realms, killing emperors and sovereigns, did the three realms not dare to offend the human sovereign personage. Now, the human king had not appeared for a long time. Rumors were everywhere, and the experts were naturally restless. This was the worst era, but it was also the best era. If the human king really perished together with the celestial arch, how could the human race suppress the three realms and become the master of the three realms? What qualifications did the Snake King have to rule over the three realms and become the king of the three realms? The experts were naturally unwilling to submit to others. As long as the human king did not die, no one in the three realms would dare to cause trouble. But what if he died? In a year's time, with Fang Ping's character, even if he was injured, he should have appeared to intimidate the three realms. But today, Fang Ping had never appeared. Human king, is he really still alive? There were spiritual fluctuations in the sea. Someone sneered and said, with that person's personality, he didn't appear for a year. Even when the people in the land were in chaos, he still didn't appear. This shouldn't have happened. Rumor has it that several venerable sovereigns were frightened by the glimpse of that person and fled in panic. But now that I think about it, if that person really appeared, how could he let those venerable sovereigns live? That is not a martial king. That is a demon king. In the void, no one could be seen, but the voice was reverberating. If that person was really still in the three dimensions, what rebels? What riots? What rebellion? They would have been quelled a long time ago. The voice continued to reverberate, reaching everyone's heart. There were indeed rumors of a sovereign personage appearing before, scaring many people into hiding in the depths of the sea. But if it was true, how could he let it go just like that? In the next moment, an old voice appeared and said with a faint smile, "You're just trying to cover it up. I'm afraid that the sovereign personage is really not around. As for whether he is dead or he is too severely injured, unable to recover even after a year, it is still hard to say. The final battle should be won by the human race." Everyone had their own guesses about this. That day, the three realms fell into a deep slumber. These people didn't witness the final battle. However, after the sovereign personages woke up, they no longer appeared. The heavenly emperor also disappeared without a trace. It was possible that the two of them died together. Fallen. At this moment, someone said in a low voice, "What if everyone guessed wrongly?" "Wrong guess." The old voice laughed and said, "If I'm really wrong and you all really believe that that person is still alive, do you all dare to come today?" As soon as he said this, no one responded. Since they dared to spy on the human race today, they naturally had 80% confidence. That was why they gathered here. If they really had no confidence, how would they dare to gather here at this time? That would be courting death. The three realms are at peace, and all hidden dangers are eliminated. The land realm, the human realm, the forbidden sea, the beginner martial realm, all forces suffered heavy losses. Not even 1 out of 100 powerhouses survived. The great Tao of origin collapsed, and countless origin martial artists died. Even if they didn't die, their great Tao collapsed, and they suffered heavy injuries. Even the Snake King couldn't avoid it. However, this is the worst era, but also the best era. As the master of the three realms, if the sovereign personages are still around, he is naturally the human race and can't be criticized. But the sovereign personages are not here. Haha, what qualifications and strength does the human race have to dare to rule the three realms? The words came one after another, and a sharp voice sounded. We have lived for 10,000 years. Are we really going to be ruled by the human race? The Snake King is not even 100 years old, and his great Tao injuries have not healed. He has just reached the Saint Realm. Is the three realms going to submit to the Snake King? We were lucky to escape from the battle of destruction. We have been lying low for 10,000 years, waiting for an opportunity. Now, all the powerhouses have fallen. Are you all going to continue waiting? The land of beginners, the first ancestors of the human race, had many powerhouses. The collapse of the great Tao meant that the beginners suffered the least losses. Are we going to submit to the juniors? The Fist God and a few other powerhouses died at the hands of the sovereign personages. The god of the underworld and the heavenly arms submitted to the human race and are the inheritors of the beginners. We have no choice but to fight to the death. Can we really endure such a deep hatred? A bunch of ancestors have to submit to the juniors who were lucky to advance. You can endure it, but I can't. The voices did not stop. Some people started to provoke the beginners. The source had collapsed, and the great Tao of origins had collapsed. Although the three realms had recovered, the great Tao had begun to clear up, and a new Tao was gradually established. The beginners had the most powerhouses left. This was an indisputable fact. Countless origin powerhouses had died. Some might not have died, and were recovering in secret. As for the beginners and demons, they cultivated the Tao of the body. There were many powerhouses now, and there were many saints. It was unknown if there were any heavenly kings left. The fall of the heavenly king of origins caused quite a stir. However, the fall of the beginner's heavenly king did not cause much of a stir. No one knew if there were any heavenly kings in the beginners who did not participate in the last battle. There were hundreds of heavenly kings in that battle. If one or two were missing, no one would notice. They did not appear, now only because they were afraid of Fangping. Everyone spoke one after another, but no one dared to invade the human race. That was what they said, and what they thought. However, what if the sovereign personages really did not die? It was already extremely bold for them to dare to gather here today. If they were asked to break into MCMAU, not many people would have the guts to do so. The beginners did not speak for a long time. At this time, the silhouette of a white tiger appeared in the void. It looked ferocious and growled in a low voice. Do we really have to submit to the human race? The human race has killed countless people, slaughtering our clansmen, killing our friends and relatives, making divine weapons, drinking blood and flesh. The human race has a saying, those who are not of our race will have a different heart. Even if we submit, they will not trust us. The beginners submitted to the human race, and the sovereign personages called them allies. However, in the last battle, the human race said that they would help the beginners. The Netherworld King led hundreds of powerhouses to the beginners' mainland. What was the result? The white tiger laughed mockingly. The strongest beginners all died in battle. The underworld god and a few others were close to the imperial path. But they still died in battle. Luan, Sherpa, and many other heavenly kings were all allies of the human race. The human race is already extremely powerful. If they joined forces with the beginners, how could they suffer such heavy losses? They just don't trust them. They weaken the beginner's strength, forcing them to fight and die. The underworld god, heavenly arm, and the others know that if they don't die, the beginner's inheritance will no longer exist. The sovereign personages can destroy the beginners with a casual attack. If they don't die, how can the human race suppress the beginners? Therefore, that day, the underworld god, and heavenly arm fought to the death without retreating. All the powerhouses did the same, all for the beginner's inheritance. The white tiger's words made the void tremble slightly. Some people's vitality was boiling, somewhat unable to be concealed. This was the truth. On that day, there were countless powerhouses. The human race was incomparably powerful. Other than being suppressed by the heavenly emperor at the origin, the human race dominated everywhere else. There were also their allies, beginners, Yuan, Sherpa, and many powerhouses to help. How could it be so tragic? The heavenly king powerhouses were all annihilated. It was all because the human race let them be. They even forced them secretly. Fang Ping did not say it, but everyone knew that it was definitely the human race's scheme. The martial king might even have an agreement with a few beginners. The martial king was worried that after the human race powerhouses became Tao converted, they would not be able to suppress the three realms. Using the beginner's inheritance as a threat, how could the underworld god and the others not fight? This was not something that the beginners did not know. Today, however, it was exposed by the white tiger. For a moment, their vitality was turbulent, shaking the void. Clearly, there were some beginners who could not bear it, and their minds were in turmoil. Many beginners' powerhouses had died in Fang Ping's hands, even more than the fight for beginners' origins. Fist God and the other powerhouses were killed by Fang Ping as soon as they came out of the heavenly cemetery. There were also more than 1 or 2 heavenly kings who were killed that day. All of this was suppressed because Fang Ping was powerful. But now, Fang Ping was not here, and the Snake King was not qualified to suppress him. The white tiger appeared. Seeing the turbulent vitality, he sneered again and said, "If you don't resist today and don't seek survival, what are you waiting for? If the king is really not dead but seriously injured and unable to move now, then we will have missed the best opportunity. If he is not dead, injured, and in deep sleep, then that will be our greatest opportunity. It is a crisis, but also an opportunity. If we devour a drop of king's blood and a bone, we will have the hope to pry into the realm above the imperial path. After cultivating for so many years, are you all really not tempted? The origin collapses, the beginners are rejected by the Tao, and a new Tao is born. The king must be reestablished," the white tiger said excitedly. "The new Tao is born, but we do not know its Tao. Whether we continue to walk the old Tao and wait for our lifespans to be exhausted, or whether we study the new Tao and go further, it all depends on today." Even if Fang Ping did not die, he must be seriously injured. All the powerhouses had their own way of measuring this. He was a powerhouse who killed the heavenly emperor. If they could obtain Fang Ping's body, no one dared to imagine what kind of benefits they would get. Risk and opportunity coexisted. If Fang Ping was really alive and seriously injured, once he really woke up, it would not be difficult for him to kill these venerable emperors and saints. Should they take the risk or not? If they did not take the risk, could they really accept submitting to the human clan and becoming slaves? Fang Ping was not a kind person. He had killed all the way, and his hands were stained with blood. Once he recovered from his injuries, would he continue to slaughter the 3 realms? They would die either way, so they might as well take the risk. The pressure gradually filled the sea area. Some people were tempted, but some were hesitant. After a long time, someone said in a low voice, "I have no intention to be enemies with the human clan. I have cultivated in the bitter sea for thousands of years and never participated in any disputes. But now that the corrosive power of the bitter sea has been eliminated, the human clan is exploring the sea area and trespassing on my Taoist field. I just want to know, if the human clan unifies the 3 realms, how will they treat us who have cultivated hard? We can't trespass on the Taoist field, we can't be killed, and we can't be driven away. Do we not have a place to stay when we have cultivated to the venerable emperor realm? Ignorant, White Tiger sneered. The human clan is greedy and insatiable. How can they let us roam freely in the three realms? Skinning us, pulling out our tendons, making divine weapons, eating our flesh, drinking our blood. This is how the human clan treats foreign tribes. Let's not talk about the beginner martial artists. It's difficult for us demons to find a place to stay. The catacombs is the target of the human clan's blood feud. The demons are also the human clan's must-kill target. The beginner martial artists are an obstacle in the fight for hegemony. Everyone, do you really think you can coexist peacefully? White Tiger's tone was sarcastic. You're just deceiving yourselves. If you don't rebel today, you won't even have the chance to rebel tomorrow. The new generation of MCMAU is also cold-blooded. Sword Witch Chun Yunxi, Human Butcher Zhao Xueme, Spear King Fu Chongding. These people, whose hands are not stained with blood and have killed countless people. Now, they are all venerable Emperor Realm. Once they advance to Saint Realm. We gathered here today, without a reason. What awaits us is the slaughter and butcher knives of these people. White Tiger shouted. Do you think you still have a chance? Everyone here today, once the human clan recovers, none of them will be spared. We are all sensible people. Gathered here, what can we think? Who can hide it from? If you really don't want to rebel, then learn from those obedient people of the three realms, holding up in the boundaries that the human clan has marked for us, being raised like animals by them. Naturally, nothing will happen. But are you willing? White Tiger shouted angrily. Were they willing? If they were really willing, they might as well just stay in their own lair and be raised like animals by others. Why take the risk to spy on the human clan today? Was it not because they were not willing? Was it not because they had ambitions? These words silenced the surroundings once again. Yes, if they were willing, why would they listen to White Tiger's provocation? After a while, someone said in a low voice, "Today is the first time MCMAU has reopened the Holy Land after the war. Recruiting talents is a grand ceremony. If the human king doesn't come today, I'm afraid," White Tiger said coldly. "Blood Shark King is still afraid." The person who spoke earlier was not angry. He smiled and said, "Of course I'm afraid. Who isn't? White Tiger King isn't afraid. Not to mention the human king. If any one of them survives, we will die. If the three emperors reincarnated live, they will also die. If the heavenly cat, heavenly dog lives, he will still die. It's true that you are unwilling, but you can't court death." After saying that, Blood Shark King smiled and said, "We are able to survive until now because we are cautious. Although the possibility of them surviving is not high, we can't act rashly. We still need to be cautious. There are rebels gathering in the East Sea. Why don't we manipulate them to attack Magic City? It would be best if we can lure out the human clan's trump card." Before it finished speaking, White Tiger King said coldly, "Snake King is a saint realm, and MCMAU has many venerable emperors. What can the rebels do? Without a saint realm to test them, I'm afraid they will be useless. They will only be a joke." He felt that Blood Shark King was stupid. It was difficult to meet those rebels, even venerable emperors. To test the human clan, would it be useful? Other than being killed, it was useless. At the very least, they would need a saint realm expert to be qualified to test out the human race's strength. Blood Shark King was still calm. He smiled and said, "What does White Tiger King think?" "Surround them." White Tiger said indifferently, "Either we die together or we win together." You are not stupid. Who is willing to be the first bird? None of you are willing. If this drags on, if King Ren is not dead and recovers from his injuries, then all of you will die. You are all unwilling to stand up. You are all afraid of death. If you let the human clan grow, when Butcher and the others grow, will we still have a chance? Therefore, we will strike like thunder. Today we will destroy MCMAU and unify the three realms. We will unify the three realms, not the human clan. If anyone dares to snatch the fruit of victory, we will surround them together. White Tiger said, then said, the human clan is very resilient. The more we delay, the more disadvantageous it will be for us. Everyone, whether you want to make a move or not, depends on this. Otherwise, there will be no chance. Blood Shark King and the other powerhouses were silent. After a while, someone said softly in the void, King Huai is still alive. What about him? King Huai. White Tiger's eyes were cold as he snorted. King Huai is cautious and afraid of death. Whether we win or lose, as long as we gather together, King Huai will not dare to attack us. This is also a guarantee that we will not turn against him after this. If we kill all the powerhouses of the human clan, we will probably have disputes after this. King Huai is a deterrent. If we turn against him, he will come and kill us one by one. He will definitely die. But as long as we work together, even if King Huai becomes a heavenly king, he will not be able to do anything to us. In White Tiger's view, the existence of King Huai was not a bad thing. This was a guarantee that they would not turn against him after this. If everyone gathered together, King Huai, a new heavenly king, might not dare to attack them. But once they were separated, King Huai would definitely attack, and it would be justifiable. Even if the human clan powerhouses appeared after this, King Huai would have reasons and excuses. If King Huai helps the human clan, him, White Tiger sneered. He won't dare. He won't either. If the human king does not appear, why would he take the risk to help the human clan? We have many venerable emperors and saints gathered here. Even heavenly kings are in danger of dying. If there is no danger, then so be it. If there is a danger of dying, he will not show up. As White Tiger said this, he said impatiently, Everyone, are we betting or not? If we don't make a move today, it will not be so easy to gather again. It will be difficult to kill all the human clan powerhouses in one fell swoop. Today is the MCMAU Grand Ceremony. Powerhouses are gathered here. Only today can we hope to kill all the human clan powerhouses in one fell swoop and prevent them from reviving. Although there were still people who were hesitant, this time someone agreed and said in a low voice, Then count me in. I am also willing to make a move. Kill all the human clan powerhouses. We will never yield to the human clan leader. Gradually, more and more people began to agree. Today was indeed an opportunity. If they gave up today, would there be a chance next time? The human clan was not strong now, but once the new generation of MCMAU advanced one after another, they might not have a chance. White Tiger saw this and laughed. Good. If the others don't speak, I will take it that you have agreed. Otherwise, leave now, or else if you give up halfway or interfere, we will kill you together. No one spoke, and no one left. Even the hidden beginner powerhouses did not leave at this time. Beginner martial artists and the human clan were allies, but they also had a blood feud. When Fist God was killed, countless beginner martial artists were injured and dozens of heavenly kings fell. No one had forgotten this. Underworld God and the others were besieged and eventually fell. Li Jun and the others watched the battle in secret until more than half of the beginner martial heavenly kings were injured or dead. Everyone knew why. To weaken the strength of beginner martial artists. This was clear to both sides. If the human clan could always suppress the three realms, it would be fine. But now, the human clan could not. Beginner martial artists had been passed down for tens of thousands of years. They could not accept that they had submitted to the human clan. It had nothing to do with right or wrong. It was just a race war. Sigh. A soft sigh sounded in Wu Quishen's heart. Wu Quishen looked at the southern sea. There, a faint blood chi was boiling. Wu Quishen glanced at the new students below, then at Fu Changding and the others. There was a hint of helplessness in his eyes. They had to fight. They had to strike like lightning and kill these people to save the situation. Otherwise, they could not suppress these people today. The Catacombs continent, beginner Martial continent, and the Forbidden Sea would soon be at war. Submit to the human clan. This was not something that could be resolved in a short battle. It needed time and constant assimilation and brainwashing. Once the War of Resistance broke out in the early stage, it would soon engulf the three realms. How many powerhouses were left in the three realms? Wu Quishen did not know. Even if there were not many powerhouses, there were still many martial artists in the few continents. Once they rebelled, even if they could suppress them, there would be countless casualties. Damn it! Wu Quishen sensed silently and glanced at Chen Yunxi and the others again. If the human clan was given more time, even if Fang Ping could not return, these people could still suppress the three realms when they grew up. But those fellows were obviously not willing to give the human clan any more time. A blood-red cloud approached the Magic City Sea area slowly. Wu Quishen continued to host the opening ceremony. The new students were clueless. Some of the older students were not strong enough and did not sense anything. However, they had been on the battlefield for a long time. These people quickly sensed the murderous aura. War seemed like it was going to break out again. The most intense war in the three realms had just ended. The human clan was doing everything they could to suppress the three realms. They were at their peak in history. Could it be that war was going to break out again? Beside him, Chun Yunxi and the others were seething with murderous intent. Today, it might not be a matter that could be resolved by killing a few people. There are many who follow blindly. Chen Yunxi said coldly, "Strike like lightning. Kill a few people to intimidate them. The rest will definitely collapse. The vice-chancellor is severely injured. His Dao injury has not healed. We can't let the vice-chancellor fight to the death. If anything happens to the vice-chancellor, even if we kill all the invaders, the three realms will be in chaos after today." It was best to use Wu Quishen as a powerhouse who could suppress destiny. They could not let him fight a bloody battle today, and let others see through him. As soon as she said that, Fu Changding said quickly, "We can't wait for them to attack us. We'll face the enemy outside. Kill a few venerable emperors. It's best if we can kill a saint and suppress them." "I'll kill the venerable emperors." Zhao Xueme said coldly, "I'll kill the venerable emperors. Yunxi, I'll leave the saint to you. I'm afraid there will be more than one saint today. You'd better kill one quickly to intimidate the rest. I'll kill a few more venerable emperors. Only then can we solve the crisis. The vice-chancellor needs to guard the human clan. We can't act rashly." All right. They finished discussing quickly. The next moment, Wu Quishen's eyes moved. Before he said anything, they leaped into the air. Chun Yunxi's voice was heard. "Vice-chancellor, you're suppressing the human clan. We can't act. We'll kill them. The start of term ceremony will continue. We can't delay the important matter and let the powerhouses of the three realms see the human clan's true strength." Wu Quishen's expression changed. He sighed again in his heart. Yes, he could not act rashly. Intimidation was more important than killing the enemy. The start of term ceremony could not be interrupted. He was the vice-chancellor. Fang Ping was not around. He could only host the ceremony. They leaped into the air. The new students were a little confused. Wu Quishen was all smiles. He said in a clear voice, "It's fine. They're just a bunch of thieves who came to invade. Your senior brothers and sisters have gone to kill the enemy. A few saints and a dozen venerable emperors want to invade the human clan. They're asking for it." Wu Quishan was calm and collected, as if they were just a few ants. He laughed. "The start of term ceremony will continue. Don't be disturbed. When we're done, your senior brothers and sisters should be back with the enemy's heads. Later, everyone may have the chance to eat some venerable emperor demon meat and drink some saint-level demon blood. This is a gift for you to build your foundation and hone your bones." Wu Quishan's calmness made the new students quiet down quickly. Below the stage, the atmosphere was solemn again. On the side, a few teachers showed a hint of worry in their eyes, but they quickly concealed it. Acting, everyone could do it. The vice-chancellor's empty city strategy was something everyone knew, but today it had to be done. MCMAU's start-of-term ceremony continued. See area. Almost instantly, a great battle broke out. Rumble. The moment both sides met, a great battle broke out. They were all decisive people. There was no hesitation. As soon as they came into contact, it was a battle of life and death. Zhao Xuemei did not even look. She charged directly into the 5 venerable emperors' encirclement. A blood-colored staff broke through the sky and earth. Zhao Xuemei did not care. Her vitality erupted to the extreme. With a roar, she struck the staff down. The 5 venerable emperors also attacked with all their might. However, Zhao Xuemei's murderous aura was beyond imagination. One of them was stunned instantly. The long staff fell at the same time. Kill! An angry roar resounded through the sky. Outside, Fu Changding swept his long spear and roared angrily. With a rumble, a few venerable emperors and a sage were forced to take a step back at the same time. Fu Changding's face turned red. His vitality surged. He swallowed a mouthful of blood that was stuck in his throat. On the other side, Chen Yunxi intercepted 3 sages at the same time. She did not make a move, but when she did, it was earth-shattering. On the long sword, a shocking golden light shone. The golden light was dazzling. Before the 3 sages could speak, their expressions suddenly changed. They instantly fled, but it was too late. With a golden flash, the long sword broke through the air. With a puff, it pierced through one of their heads. No, rumble! With a loud explosion, the sage whose head had been pierced opened his eyes wide. Then, his physical body exploded with a loud bang. His mentality did not even have time to escape. It instantly turned into dust. He died. On the other side, Zhao Xuemei struck with her staff. With a loud explosion, an emperor-level demon's physical body was directly smashed. The others were just about to kill Zhao Xuemei. Suddenly, their expressions changed, and they all retreated. After retreating for tens of thousands of meters, they looked at the exploded sage. Their expressions changed. Dead. Killing a sage. A sage was killed in an instant. This was impossible. At the back, White Tiger King had a lingering fear. Then his expression darkened. He said coldly, "The strength of a human king." This was Fong Ping's strength. He felt the pressure, the threat. It was too terrifying. If he had run any slower, he would have been the one dead. If Chen Yunxi's strength was slightly stronger, it would not just be one sage who would have died. None of the sages present would have survived. On the other side, Chen Yunxi's face paled slightly. She quickly returned to normal. She did not say a word and looked at them coldly. Fu Changding suppressed the blood in his mouth. He laughed carelessly. "How dare you? How dare you enter the human territory? You're asking for death." White Tiger King's face was pale. He looked around and saw that everyone's faces were pale. Some even had weak legs and wanted to kneel down. White Tiger King was afraid too. He suppressed his palpitation and said in a low voice, "You've misunderstood. We did not invade the human territory. We just came to congratulate." Who would have thought? As he spoke, White Tiger King swallowed and said again, "It's really a misunderstanding. Moreover, this place has not entered the human territory's territorial waters. We heard that MCMAU is holding a grand ceremony today. We admire the power of the human king and wanted to pay our respects to the human king." Sigh. White Tiger King's heart palpitated. That was the power of a human king. He was indeed afraid. The human king was not dead. However, now that things had come to this, he dared not escape. He could only try his best to explain. Fu Changding sneered. He said disdainfully, "I don't think you would dare to invade the human territory. Even the heavenly emperor and the 9 emperors were killed. You bunch of trash." His disdain was clear in his words. "However, I don't need you to congratulate me. A small punishment is a warning to others. You dare to trespass the human territory. Even if you're just adjacent to it, you can only blame your bad luck if you're killed. Hurry up and get lost. If it wasn't for the opening ceremony today, it's not suitable to kill too many people. Believe it or not, none of you will leave." As soon as he said this, White Tiger King wanted to speak. Chen Yunshi said coldly, "Leave no one alive." "Yunshi," Fu Changding said quickly, "forget it. I think there are still people at the beginner level. Maybe they're really here to congratulate. They're allies. We still need them to unify the 3 realms." Chen Yunshi snorted coldly and said no more. Zhao Xuemei did not say anything either. Only then did Fu Changding look at White Tiger King and the others. He shouted, "Get lost! I'm the only one here today. Xuemei is the only one here." Cough, cough. Fu Changding coughed dryly. He did not look at Zhao Xuemei's cold eyes. He laughed and said, "Get lost. Don't think that you can break the rules just because Fang Ping is injured. You'd better keep your people in line. Behave yourself. Otherwise, when Fang Ping is done recuperating, he'll complain about you." Fang Ping was injured and recuperating. This was news spread by the human race. Fu Changding did not deny it. As long as he was not seriously injured and unable to fight, these people would not dare to do anything. The more they tried to cover it up, the more suspicious it would be. At this moment, Fu Changding could not wait for these people to get lost. Chen Yunshi seemed to be unable to hold on any longer, killing a saint with a thunderous strike. Even if there was a secret technique, the things Fang Ping left behind had been left behind for a long time. The effect might be limited. Killing a saint with a single strike, the power that erupted was stronger than that of a beginner heavenly king. Chen Yunshi was only a venerable emperor. It was difficult for her to withstand such a powerful outburst. If they delayed any longer, they might expose themselves. As soon as he said that, White Tiger King and the others did not dare to hesitate. In the next moment, they fled one after another. Fu Changding secretly heaved a sigh of relief. It was fine. Fang Ping's reputation was still useful. He was not there. Only a weak outburst of energy. The few saints and many venerable emperors did not even dare to fart. As for the saints and venerable emperors who were just killed, these fellows did not even dare to mention them. They were all dead. Naturally, they were worthless. Fu Changding glanced at Chen Yunshi. She nodded slightly and breathed a sigh of relief. It was better than expected. In this way, the crisis had been resolved. However, she did not expect so many saints to appear this time. She did not know how these fellows escaped the calamity that day. White Tiger King and the others fled quickly. Their faces were pale. The power of a human king. The human king was still here. He was still alive. He could still unleash his power. At the thought of the golden explosion of power, everyone had a lingering fear. It was too terrifying. That wisp of power was too weak. It was probably just a wisp of power left behind by the human king. They did not expect that several saints could not match it. If they had run a little slower, the saints might have been killed. Human king, terrifying. The same thought flashed through their minds at the same time. It was really too terrifying. The ambition they had when they set off had long been extinguished. This was just the power unleashed by Chun Yunshi. What if it was the Snake King? Wouldn't he be able to kill a heavenly king? I knew it! At this moment, King Pingshan also had a lingering fear. He hurriedly smiled and said, "Lord Human King is mighty. I just wanted to kill those bastards, but I was afraid that I would ruin your plan. King Huai should have gone. This guy is just timid." King Huai cursed in his heart. He hurriedly smiled at the void and said, "Lord, don't listen to Ping Shan's nonsense. I just wanted to break through the void and kill those bastards. I did not expect Fairy Sword Lady's combat power to be unparalleled." As he spoke, King Huai's expression changed slightly. The next moment, he suddenly straightened up. King Pingshan was stunned. King Huai's expression changed slightly. "Human King is not here." Huh. King Pingshan was also stunned. Not here? What nonsense! If he was not here, he could casually attach some power to kill a saint. He's really not here. King Huai's expression changed. That power has dissipated. What do you mean? Idiot! King Huai's expression changed. When the human king's power appeared just now, I thought he was nearby, or it was inconvenient for him to show himself while he was healing. But now that the power has dissipated, that power was extremely powerful and sturdy. After killing a saint, there was still some power left in the void. But soon, this power dissipated. What did this mean? This meant that Human King was either dead or not in the three realms. But not in the three realms. Wasn't he dead? King Pingshan was also stunned. But if he really died, cough, cough, wouldn't the power dissipate completely? This was the point that no one had any doubts about just now. If a person really died, the power would dissipate. How could it be left behind? But now, King Huai said that the power dissipated after killing someone. What did this mean? Was he dead, or was he not dead? Lord Huai frowned slightly and said in a low voice, "Perhaps the human king was too strong, so the power he left behind did not dissipate. But now, after killing a saint, this power has dissipated. This time, we're in trouble." King Pingshan's eyes flickered. "This is nothing. Would those guys dare to return? Or do you dare? Anyway, I don't dare, and I didn't sense it. Could it be that only the heavenly kings can sense it?" "Idiot!" King Huai cursed again. "Do you really think there is no heavenly king in the three realms? Huh. Let's not talk about others, but Chu Wu definitely exists." King Huai whispered. "There are no signs of Chu Wu's death. Whether Heavenly King of Origins is dead or alive, there are more or less some traces. If Chu Wu doesn't say it himself, who else would know? What's more, almost all the people in the battle that day died, but I am still alive. I counted the remaining corpses that day, and it seems that there are fewer than when I joined the battle." King Pingshan's expression changed. "You mean there are still heavenly kings? For Chu Wu? Nonsense." King Huai frowned. "It's not just heavenly kings. Those who broke through 8 that day are all dead. They are too big a target. The rest are almost all dead, including the more famous Break 7. But I remember there was one less beginner martial artist at Break 7 that day." "Who?" "The disciple of the god of the underworld. At first, He broke through 6, then 7. What's his name? Guard. Guard? King Ping Shan scratched his head. I think I've heard of him, and he was even on the Breaking 6 list once. But there were too many heavenly kings on the list, so I didn't pay much attention. You say he is not dead. He should not be dead. King Huai frowned. The god of the underworld and the others are not stupid. They should at least leave some foundation. Do they really want to send all the heavenly kings to their deaths? They have to leave some trump cards, be it to protect the inheritance or to defend against external enemies, who would throw all of them to their deaths. King Ping Shan's expression changed. You mean Chu Wu dares? I didn't dare before. King Huai sneered. But now it's hard to say. If it were you, would you be willing to serve your descendants after tens of thousands of years and be their grandsons? Of course I would. King Ping Shan said in surprise. As long as they are strong enough to protect my life, what's wrong with being their grandsons? Are you not willing? King Huai was speechless. After a while, he said awkwardly, That's true. There was nothing wrong with what he said. What was wrong with being the grandson of the grandson of the grandson? He would be provided with delicious food and drinks to protect his life. There was no problem, no objection. King Ping Shan was right. But even if they thought so, it did not mean that others would think so. King Huai shook his head. The humans might really be in trouble. Chun Yunshi and the others probably did not expect that the king of man's power would collapse so quickly. Moreover, these venerable emperors might not even feel it. It was normal for the power to collapse, but they were not heavenly kings or emperors, so they did not understand the difference. With Fong Ping's strength, as long as he was still in the 3 realms and alive, his power would not collapse unless it was destroyed. But now, the rapid collapse meant that the power had lost its source. Chu mainland. At this moment, someone was walking in the air, looking at the land of humans. Collapsed! Are you really dead? In the void, a figure was faintly discernible, a little surprised, a little confused. Really dead? The king of man would not fish at this moment. There was no need, because the king of man was too strong. He would not deliberately let his power collapse. There was really no need. He could suppress the 3 realms alone. Why would he do such a thing? That meant he was really dead. Sigh. The figure sighed. A hero had actually fallen. What a pity. Since the king of man had fallen, there was no reason for Chu to submit to the humans. Chu's legacy had not been destroyed for 40,000 years, but it could not be broken today and become a vassal of the humans. If the king of man was still alive, of course, there would be no room for doubt. Unfortunately, he was dead. I didn't expect to find out something with this test. The figure sighed again. The figure sighed again. The moment the sovereign personage's strength appeared, he had already been prepared to bleed at the beginning of the martial Tao. However, he had also made arrangements. It was enough for a few saints to be the scapegoats. The relationship between the underworld god and Sky Arm would not allow Fong Ping to kill the Chu now. Those people were considered to have died in battle for the humans. But now there was no need. He understood Fong Ping and Fong Ping's personality. As long as it was not too out of line, Fong Ping would kill the chicken to warn the monkeys. He would not really kill the Chu, so he did not make a move. Now, it was time to solve some problems. Just as Fu Chongding and the others were about to leave, the void trembled slightly. In the next moment, their expressions changed slightly. Fu Chongding turned his head and scolded, "Get lost! Do you want to die? Do you really think I don't have a temper?" They could not back down. Although they felt that something was wrong when the person appeared, they were not inexperienced. They could not sense anything when they tried to sense it. It was probably a heavenly king powerhouse. But they could not back down now. It would be troublesome if they did. The person sighed softly. The fairy sword's injuries are not light. The king of man's power is too domineering. If this drags on, I'm afraid I'll suffer serious internal injuries and damage the foundation of my Tao. Chen Yunxi's expression changed, slightly. The person sighed again. The king of man's power is so powerful. If he's alive, he won't weaken for 10,000 years. He can even absorb the void energy. After a few years, it won't be difficult for this place to become a forbidden place. Too bad, now the power has dissipated. As soon as he said that, the three people's expressions changed. Chen Yunxi's body swayed. She turned to look at the person. He was very young, but his eyes were deep. He was not as young as he looked. Chen Yunxi gritted her teeth. Nonsense. The power had dissipated. Fang Ping was dead. The person's expression was complicated. King of man, a monster of all ages. As long as he's alive, the three realms will bow down to him. Even if they're dissatisfied, even if they're enslaved, no one dares to say no. But he's dead. Rumble. A bolt from the blue. The few of them trembled. Fu Changdong's expression changed drastically. He shouted coldly, "Nonsense! If you want to die, just say it. Do you really think no one will kill you just because you're a heavenly king?" The person sighed again. "I have no intention of wiping out the human race. The human Chu are one family, but beginner martial artists would not submit. In addition, I'm not the only heavenly king in the three realms. The deep-sea demon race has won. King Huai is also one, and so am I. Now that a sovereign personage had fallen, the human race would definitely suffer revenge. Slaughtering the human race was not a threat. The human king's legacy, the martial king's legacy, and the heaven-crushing king's legacy are all in the hands of the humans. Return to the beginner realm. Hand over the legacy. Hand over the god artifact. These treasures, you won't be able to protect them. I also have to explain to Chu Wu that if I don't hand them over, there's no need for Chu Wu to protect the human race. Chu Wu won't be convinced either. After all, when the king of man was alive, he slaughtered a large number of beginner martial artists, classified as a beginner. Chen Yunxi gritted her teeth. The humans have been at war for 100 years. The catacombs can't make us surrender, not even the 9 sovereigns and 4 emperors. Not even a celestial emperor could do it. The human race will die standing, not live kneeling. We will prosper for 100 years, but you want us to submit to Chu Wu, give up 100 years of glory, and abandon our ancestors' protection. I'm afraid that they will come back from hell and kill us unfilial disciples. Submit to a beginner? Impossible. Moreover, this was the golden age that Fang Ping had created. How could he let the humans be destroyed at this moment? You can't defend it. The young man shook his head. They could not defend it. He was not the only heavenly king in the 3 realms. Of course, he was stronger than the others. At this moment, a heavenly king's aura could be vaguely felt from afar. Deep-sea demon clan rarely participated in the battle of the 3 realms. However, now that the heavenly king was invincible, it might not be the same as before. Meanwhile, in the sky, someone ridiculed, "Are you too free?" Who's free? A lazy voice was heard. In the void, a youth with a crew cut in a beachwear said lazily, "I'm just fishing. Fishing 1 is 1. This is called having a good reason. You can't just kill people just because I'm invincible, right? I'm not a tyrant. Look, haven't you caught a lot of fish now? It's just a delay. Some people can't be killed indiscriminately. I, Fang Ping, am a reasonable person. It's not like you don't know that for so many years, when have I not been reasonable before killing people?" The crew cut yawned and said lazily, "Besides, some people are really hard to deal with. Look at King Huai. This old bastard helped the humans to kill the enemy. Can I kill him without saying a word? Isn't this waiting for him to take the bait? Mother asterisk cur. He didn't even take the bait. This guy, forget it. I'll ignore him for now. That's the underworld god's disciple, right? When the underworld god died, he said to give beginners a way out. I can't not give it, right? But now, they've taken the bait. I can't do anything about it. If I don't make an example out of them, am I supposed to watch them every day? Mother asterisk cur. I let that stupid cat watch. That stupid cat actually fell asleep. I still have to go to the underworld in the future. How can I have time to run around every day? Beside him, Qin Feng Qing looked up at the sky. After a while, he shrugged and said, You're really good. You actually let a cat watch the three realms. And it's a lazy, stupid cat. When I walked past it just now, it didn't even react. I threw a bag of dried fish at it, and it ate it without even looking. If it's poison, I'll just poison it to death. Dream on. Fang Ping said, lazily, poison it to death? If you can poison it to death, I'll give it to you in the world of the living. Fang Ping despised it. Poison that stupid cat to death. What were you thinking? But then again, Fang Ping could not help but raise his middle finger at the sky. This stupid cat was hopeless. It was sleeping soundly in the chaos. No matter how he shouted, it would not wake up. In the end, he threw a bag of dried fish at it. This stupid cat actually rolled around and fell asleep, and it ate it. If he did not cover it up, the people of the three realms would have seen a strange scene. That sun was rolling around. Since the immortal source was destroyed, the sun of the three realms now was that stupid cat. If people saw the sun rolling around, they would probably be dumbfounded. Qin Feng Qing was too lazy to answer. He looked down and chuckled. Are we still waiting? Aren't you afraid that they'll explode? If they explode, then so be it. I can bring them to the world of the dead, Fang Ping said nonchalantly. Very quickly, he laughed again. Of course, with me around, the emperor can forget about exploding. Don't think too much. Also, you should get lost. You're from the world of the dead. It's not good for you to come to the world of the dead. Luckily, this stupid cat is asleep. Otherwise, I'll slap you to death with one paw. Qin Feng Qing snorted. Nonsense. I brought a storage ring of cat food from the world of the dead. Will this stupid cat slap me to death? If I throw the storage ring away, this cat will go eat its own cat food. Will it care about me? Fang Ping was speechless. He felt a little sad. Did he do something wrong? If he let this stupid cat become the lord of the world of the dead, would people from the world of the dead be able to come over just by giving them some cat food? Sigh. Fang Ping sighed. This stupid cat had no face, whose lord of the realm could be sent away with a few bags of cat food. Hopefully, there wouldn't be any problems in the future. Just as he thought about it, Fang Ping's expression changed slightly. Qin Feng Qing raised his head too, his mouth wide open. After a while, he could not help but snort and laugh. I think the three realms will be in chaos sooner or later. At this moment, in the midst of chaos, near a huge light source, a silhouette appeared in a flash. An old man with a sage-like demeanor appeared. An incomparably huge meatball appeared in his hand, chuckling as he tossed it into the light source. Vaguely, one could see that the light source was in the shape of a cat. Old cat, can you hear me? The old man laughed. He looked around a little wretchedly, a little guiltily, and said quickly, I've brought you countless cat food. Recently, I've been preparing to open up a Tao in the world of the dead. The world of the dead has no Tao. I don't think it's appropriate. If the world of the dead were to invade, how are we going to resist? The balance of yin and yang is the right path. I've studied the world of the dead for a while. When I open up a primordial Tao, munch, munch, the sound of food being eaten could be heard. Other than that, there was no other sound. The old man's expression turned ugly. He said, quickly, lend me some energy, lend me some strength. I'll go back and open up a Tao. You also know that without your support, I'll have to look for that fellow Fong Ping. That fellow's appetite is much bigger than yours. Cough, cough. What I mean is, you should be kinder. As long as you lend me some energy, I'll send you a big fish of 300,000 feet in the future. You haven't eaten it before, right? Heaven and earth have just been created. Tao has just been created. Among the 3,000 chaotic god fiends, there must be big fishes. I'll just catch a few for you. You can braise them, stew them, or even make them into dried fish. This is a rare and good ingredient. Don't you want it? Meow. Of course it's delicious. The old man chuckled. If it's not delicious, you can return it. Meow. With some doubt and some anticipation, the next moment, the old cat sneezed. A drop of saliva fell outside the circle of light. The old man took it with some disdain. He glanced at it and muttered, "You gave me a drop of saliva? Disgusting. Forget it. The energy is still considered abundant. But I can't tell others that this is saliva. Can I? What's this called? Why don't I call it? Creation Jade Disc." Chapter 1490. Good Fortune Jade Disc. In the void, Fong Ping smiled helplessly. Beside him, Qin Fengqing was deep in thought and murmured, "This cat is really easy to bribe. Fong Ping, do you think I can get more food and become the lord of the world?" Fong Ping sneered, too lazy to care. Although the cat was unreliable, it could distinguish between good and evil. How could it change the position of the seed so easily? Qin Fengqing did not mention it again. He asked doubtfully, "Earthly Sovereign wants to open a path in the underworld. Aren't you going to stop him?" Fong Ping's origin and the underworld were one. Earthly Sovereign and the others naturally entered the underworld. There was a path in the world of the living, but there was no path in the underworld. The energy of the two realms was limited. It was not easy to destroy martial arts in the world of the living. There was no martial arts in the underworld. Opening a path would consume countless energy. In this way, the two realms would sooner or later enter the situation of the previous three realms. In order to recover energy, the seed might have to stage another world-ending battle. Isn't the God-crafting envoy preparing for the heavenly tribulation? When the heavenly tribulation comes, there will naturally not be so many martial artists. Fong Ping said it did not matter, but Qin Fengqing disagreed. Can the heavenly tribulation kill everyone? The stronger the powerhouse, the more energy they absorb. If this goes on, I think the two realms will follow in their footsteps sooner or later. That's many years later. Fong Ping smiled. With the heavenly tribulation, it can more or less be delayed. Qin Fengqing glanced at him, slightly doubtful. You should be considered immortal now. Fong Ping, if one day someone really cultivates to your realm, what will happen then? Is it like Celestial Emperor, restricting martial artists from cultivating to the realm above Emperor, or simply killing those geniuses in advance? The energy of the two realms was limited. There would always be geniuses appearing. If one day someone really cultivated to Fong Ping's realm, how would Fong Ping deal with himself then? It's okay. It's okay. Seeing Fong Ping's certainty, Qin Fengqing looked at him doubtfully. Was this guy really not worried? Or was he really calm and did not mind someone replacing him? Fong Ping chuckled. The two realms are one. The energy is balanced. It is a system of its own, no more leakage. Of course, there is also a total amount of energy. Now, the energy of the two realms is divided into three. The cat and I each take one. In fact, the two realms only take one. Qin Fengqing's expression changed slightly. The energy of the two realms was divided into three. Fong Ping and the old cat actually occupied one each. What did this mean? This meant that the hundreds of billions of living beings in the two realms only occupied 1/3 of the energy. Even if there was someone who was extremely monstrous, he would only be able to catch up to Fang Ping if he destroyed the two realms and absorbed all the energy. What kind of realm was Fang Ping at now? So you're saying that no matter how much the martial artists of the two worlds cultivate, they won't be able to surpass you? Fang Ping chuckled. You can say that. Of course, this isn't limited by me. It's limited by the total energy of both realms. If there really is a monster, he can jump out of the two realms, learn the yang spirit, wander the universe, find a new world, a new seed, absorb energy, and naturally surpass me. Fang Ping shook his head and said, I don't restrict martial artists from both worlds, but I can't possibly cripple my own realm to help others, right? If the later generations want to surpass me, they will naturally have to pay a greater price. The two realms can transcend, and I have not completely eliminated their future. You also know about my origin. I left a hole in it. Although it was repaired later, there was still a weak spot there. If there really is a monster who can discover it and is willing to step into chaos to explore the universe when they cultivate to a certain realm, they can naturally leave the two realms and leave. Qin Fengqing pondered, but still said, even so, once someone continuously cultivates to this realm, leaves the two realms, and takes away the energy contained in their own realm, then the two realms will still face an energy shortage. Fang Ping nodded. This was inevitable. Unless the two realms world barrier was completely blocked, then no one could transcend. Naturally, there would be no leakage of energy. Fang Ping had never thought of this. He laughed. Whatever. The two realms have 1/3 of the total free energy. Once people continue to transcend, if there are a few powerhouses like the Yang spirit, then the two realms will have the end of martial arts sooner or later. The end of martial arts era. Fang Ping thought for a while and said softly, then let's naturally extinguish martial arts. If martial artists are unwilling to give back and only want to transcend for themselves, then the matter of martial arts extinguishing is also inevitable. If those martial artists who have transcended have achievements outside and are willing to return, or if they are willing to return when they die, then the two realms will naturally not be destroyed. But if they are unwilling, Fang Ping chuckled, then let's extinguish martial arts. This is not my choice, but the choice of the powerhouses themselves. They took away the energy, causing the two realms to be in a period of energy scarcity. They are unwilling to return and unwilling to give back. At that time, whether martial arts extinguish or not, it will not be up to me to decide. Qin Fengqing nodded and did not say anything more. Fang Ping was not considered an evil person, but he was not a saint either. It was obviously impossible for him to let his own energy dissipate and constantly nourish and fill the two realms. Whether martial arts were passed on or not depended on the martial artists of the two realms themselves. After the powerhouses had transcended, if they were willing to give back, or if they returned again when their lifespan was up, then the energy would naturally be endless. However, if they were unwilling, these two realms might face the calamity of martial arts extinguishing sooner or later. Fang Ping laughed again. So, the future of the two realms actually does not depend on me, but on themselves. Qin Fengqing chuckled. You are willing to let people transcend, but what if they really obtain opportunities in the chaos, surpass you, and then return to kill you? What will you do then? Fang Ping could not help but laugh. Let them be then, each will depend on their own ability. It is foolish to expect others not to improve to protect themselves. My starting point is higher than everyone else's, but I was killed in the end. That serves me right. Moreover, I did not cut off everyone's path. Similarly, no one came to cut off my path. How the future goes is also up to me. The chaotic universe can be explored by others, but can I? Now that the two realms are still unstable, That's why I stopped here. Don't tell me that I will be wandering between the two realms for the next few thousand years, tens of thousands of years. Qin Fengqing's gaze changed slightly, a little absent-minded. After a while, he said, "You also want to explore the chaos? Let's see." Fang Ping did not say much. He did not know how long it would be in the future, so he would talk about it later. Ignoring the earthly emperor and Song Mao in the void, Fang Ping looked down. At this moment, Chun Yunxi and the others below were already bristling with anger, determined to die. Below, the young heavenly king was already a little impatient. Everything has been decided. The human race can't suppress the three realms. For the sake of the human race's legacy, do you all insist on being stubborn? Fu Changding scolded angrily. Stubborn? If Fang Ping did not kill the celestial emperor and annihilate the 9 emperors, the three realms would have been suppressed by the celestial emperor long ago. Martial arts would have perished. Do you think the human race would have the chance to be so arrogant? Spear King, strength is the foundation. The young heavenly king said softly, if the human race still had heavenly kings, then the natural race would be the king. But the human race has no heavenly kings. The human king has passed away. Looking at the history of the three realms, possessing a jade ring is a crime. Spear King should know better than me. Fu Changding gritted his teeth, both hands gripping the long spear tightly. The other party was right. Possessing a jade ring was a crime. The human race had produced many peerless powerhouses, but in the battle with the Celestial Emperor, these people had either died or disappeared. Fang Ping, he had previously believed that Fang Ping was still alive, but now the other party said that Fang Ping was dead. If he was not confident, he would not have dared to appear now. The Heavenly King said that Fang Ping was dead. Then Fang Ping, had he really fallen? If so, could the human race still defend the three realms? Fu Changding was unwilling. This was the golden age that Fang Ping and the martial king had fought for with their lives. Were they really going to compromise today? After hundreds of years of war, countless people had died in battle. At the final moment of victory, were they still going to compromise? In the void far away, there was a fluctuation of mentality. Those who had escaped earlier seemed to have sensed something and began to return, not daring to approach. Instead, they peeped from afar. In the deep sea, a blood cloud rose. That was the appearance of a deep-sea monster, its demonic aura overflowing. The three realms had been passed down for 40,000 years. In the previous battle, countless powerhouses had died in battle, but there were still survivors of powerhouses. When a new path appeared, there were also geniuses who took the opportunity to prove their path. The three realms was huge, and the sea was boundless. At this moment, was there really only one heavenly king in the three realms? The human race had no heavenly king, but that was because the heavenly king had died in battle. The human race was fearless, and the powerhouses were unwilling to escape the doomsday battle. But it might not be the case for the others. That day, if they had escaped further, the heavenly king at that time was only a small character. It was not too difficult for some people to survive. Fu Changding fell into a dilemma. In his ears, Chen Yunxi's sonorous voice rang out, "Join forces and kill him. Fight to the death. Kill a heavenly king. Even if they die in battle, these people should know that even if the human race has lost its king, they still cannot be provoked. The human race would not compromise. It had been so for 100 years. Did these people think that without Martial King and Fang Ping, the human race would change? No, they would rather die, but they would still bite you. This was the root of the human race's rise. In the face of the heavenly emperor, in the face of the 9 emperors, in the face of the former catacombs, the human race had never compromised. That was why there was today's prosperity. There was no reason to bow and scrape at this moment. The three of them were already prepared to fight to the death. Although they were not as good as the heavenly king, they would fight to the death. Even if they could not kill the Chu Wu heavenly king in front of them, they had to let the others see the human race's determination to die. It's about time, right? In the void, Qin Fengqing looked at Fang Ping. Is it time to pull in the net? Fang Ping chuckled. Wait a little longer. King Huai hasn't made a move yet. To be honest, this guy is terrifyingly cowardly. I don't even know if I should get rid of him. Other than King Huai, there's another guy hiding and hasn't come out. Qin Fengqing was a little puzzled. He calculated for a while. Who else? Those who should die were all dead. Those who should not have died were almost all dead. He had seen those people in the underworld. Which heavenly king in the three realms was still alive? Celestial fate, have you forgotten? Qin Fengqing was stunned for a moment. After a while, he said, Him? This guy, is he hiding and sleeping again? In that battle that day, Emperor Shi had no choice but to disperse his origin of heaven and fall in the battle. However, Celestial Fate did not fight. He was not qualified to participate in that battle. But this guy's presence was really low. Qin Fengqing actually did not remember the existence of Celestial Fate. King Huai had some movement, but Celestial Fate seemed to be completely silent. He's dead, right? Qin Fengqing said suspiciously. You brought me around, but there was no trace of him at all. He's not dead. If he's really dead, how could I not know? Fang Ping chuckled. If he's really dead, maybe the underworld can see him. This guy, he also shook his head. He's still hiding in the dilapidated West Palace. Although the West Palace is about to completely collapse, this guy actually didn't die. I'm impressed. He was really impressed by Celestial Fate. According to his own investigation, that guy had already broken through Realm 8. It could be said that in this three realms, the real number one person in the world was none other than Celestial Fate. In the end, no matter how chaotic the three realms was, no matter how dangerous it was, that person still did not come out. You guys can fight to the death. I don't care. Don't talk about spying. That person did not even leave the West Palace's door. You guys can do whatever you want. He, the number one person in the world, you guys can pretend he doesn't exist, but almost no one in the three realms remembered him. As a powerhouse of the Origin Tao, there was still a movement when he fell. Celestial Fate did not fall. Everyone knew this. Sometimes, everyone seemed to remember which powerhouse was still alive in the three realms, but when they thought about it carefully, they just could not remember the name. His presence was terrifyingly low. King Huai was alive, and many people knew. Celestial Fate was alive, but no one remembered. The last battle was so tragic, and Celestial Fate did not participate. If his father had not been forced in the end, he probably would not have appeared. In the end, after Emperor West fell, no one paid attention to Emperor West's bloodline. You're not thinking of fishing Celestial Fate, are you? Qin Fengqing was speechless. Forget it. Even if the three realms collapse today, that guy probably won't appear. Don't you know how his Realm 8 came about? Every time he was forced to break through, this guy is even worse than King Huai. Fang Ping laughed involuntarily, shaking his head. In this realm, a few heavenly kings are all supremes. If everyone was like them, the three realms would really be peaceful. A Celestial Fate, a King Huai, and King Pingshan. If everyone was like this, the three realms' doomsday war would not have happened. It was not good to be too tactful. If he was so tactful, it would be difficult for Fang Ping to wipe out the powerhouses of the three realms. Emperor West was now in the netherworld, and he had chatted with him a few days ago, drinking with him. Now he turned around and killed his son for no reason. Although he could bring him back to the netherworld, it was embarrassing. Forget it. I'm not waiting anymore. Fishing to this point, it was almost enough, since celestial fate, and King Huai did not take the bait. Then forget it. It did not matter much if these two stayed in the three realms, knowing that he was alive. Even if he was not in the world of the living and went to the netherworld, these two would probably not do anything. The atmosphere was getting more and more tense. Blood clouds rolled, and some demon powerhouses rushed over. The waves were monstrous, and some powerhouses among the rebels also came stealthily. Chun Yunshi and the other two were ready to fight to the death. In MCMAU, Wu Quishan continued to lead the opening ceremony. Beside him, a small sword was faintly discernible, also ready to fight at any time. A great battle was about to start. At this moment, in the sea, there was a demon powerhouse with a monstrous aura, his voice shaking the heavens and the earth, shouting, "Guard, destroy the human race. Beginner Marshall dominates the land. The demon race dominates the sea. Do not invade each other. How about it? Guard, the disciple of the underworld god." Hearing this, the young heavenly king looked around and said softly, "The human king killed the celestial emperor and saved all living beings in the three realms. The human race should not be destroyed. However, the human king has fallen. The human race is powerless to suppress the three realms, so that the three realms will no longer be in turmoil." Before Guard's words fell, Chun Yunshi and the other two could no longer bear it silently. In the next moment, a staff, a sword, and a spear instantly erupted with a dazzling light, killing toward Guard. After all, Guard was a beginner martial heavenly king with unparalleled combat strength. Seeing this, he sighed softly. The human race was unyielding, although he would not destroy the human race. As long as these human leaders were not dead, it would be difficult for the three realms to be peaceful. Only by killing these human leaders could the human race stop resisting, and beginner Marshall would once again control the three realms, just like 40,000 years ago. He stretched out his hand, his big hand covered the sky, and a clanging sound was heard. Guard easily grabbed the weapons of the three venerable emperors. The heavenly king was a powerhouse among the beginner martial heavenly kings. It was too difficult for him to deal with three venerable emperors. Guard sighed. With the fall of the human king, the human race could not hold on to their position as the master of the three realms. These three people were also the last hope of the human race to become a saint or even a heavenly king. In order to avoid a great battle, he could only kill these three people. His other hand clenched into a fist, and Guard punched down. Chun Yunshi and the other two felt a monstrous pressure. The three of them showed ruthless expressions, and the light on their weapons shone brightly. Their vitality was also turbulent. Self-destruct. The three of them were going to self-destruct to kill the enemy. Sigh. A sigh slowly spread, and the three realms seemed to freeze. The waves subsided, and the blood clouds dissipated. In the void, Fang Ping stepped down with his hands behind his back, ignoring what was happening. He turned his head and glanced into the distance. In the distance, two figures froze. The next moment, King Huai's speed surpassed time, and he reacted almost instantly. He teleported over at all costs. With a bang, he fell from the void and roared, "The human king is mighty. I wanted to kill this thief, but I didn't expect Lord Human King to have a plan." The three realms froze. Human King. Fang Ping glanced at him and ignored him. He walked slowly toward Chun Yunshi and the others. With a bang, in the distance, a huge monster in the sea instantly exploded, leaving no bones behind. It was the heavenly king of the demon race who had just wanted to destroy the human race and divide the world. He was not familiar with it, and Fang Ping did not bother to say more. It should be the demon race who had been hiding in the deep sea. He had not seen it during the Doomsday battle, and it had probably just come out. In the void, the White Tiger, and the other venerable emperors who had escaped earlier were also terrified. Before they had time to speak, they exploded almost at the same time. As soon as the blood spurted out, it instantly turned into nothingness. The energy collapsed and nourished the three realms. One by one, they died. In the distance, Chen Yunxi looked at Fang Ping, her eyes filled with joy and some relief. He was indeed invincible and would never die. Fu Changding also grimaced, a little happy, but also a little bored. He knew he should not have doubted. How could this guy die so easily? Even if the three realms were destroyed, he would not die. He actually wavered and believed the heavenly king of Chu Wu's nonsense. Shou was sweating profusely, his face pale. His body could not move, but he could still speak. At this moment, he suddenly laughed bitterly, looking helpless, and said softly, "Lord Human King is indeed invincible. Master once said that he did not see Lord Human King really die, and that he should not cause trouble for Chu Wu. I thought that after many attempts, Lord Human King did not come out, and that he must have died in that battle. Now, it seems that I was too arrogant." Shou became more and more bitter. He looked at Fang Ping and said softly, "I did not have the intention to destroy the human race. Lord Human King distinguishes between kindness and hatred, and should not harm Chu Wu. I brought about my own death, and my death is not to be regretted. I have betrayed Master's trust. Please have mercy, Lord Human King." At this point, Shou turned his head to look at Chu Wu mainland, looking ashamed. He quickly shook his head, sighed softly, and said no more. His body gradually became illusory, and he had already disappeared. Once Lord Human King appeared, he already knew that there was no way out. Rather than letting Lord Human King attack, he might as well commit suicide. He did not know if it would implicate those Chu Wu people. A dignified heavenly king did not even make a move, but Fang Ping killed himself. It was clear how much the three realms feared Lord Human King. Even the celestial emperor died at the hands of Lord Human King, let alone them. On the other side, King Huai's face was pale. In the next moment, King Huai's flesh suddenly collapsed, his Tao broken, and his aura instantly fell from heavenly king to emperor. King Huai ignored the pain, grinning, and said with a face full of smiles, "Congratulations on coming out of seclusion, Lord Human King. The new path is stable. It must be you who is stabilizing the new path. I will take the old path and walk the new path again, blending into the new realm." Fang Ping sneered. He was decisive. The humans were not afraid of a venerable emperor. Even if Fang Ping was not here, the venerable emperor could not stir up any trouble. King Huai directly broke the old path and fell to emperor level. In this way, even if Fang Ping was not here, he was no longer a hidden danger. This guy's desire to live was really strong. Ignoring him, Fang Ping looked at the few people in front of him. Fu Changding was also grinning, and after a while he laughed and said, "You almost scared us to death. When did you arrive?" Fang Ping smiled and said, "Not long ago." "I'll be damned if I believe you." Fu Changding curled his lips. "I'm afraid you came very early. You only know how to watch the show. You've already cultivated to this point, and you still want to fish? What's the point?" How could he not know Fang Ping's personality? This guy, what realm was he at? Did he need to do this? Fang Ping smiled and did not deny it. Beside him, Chen Yunxi also smiled and said softly, "It's good that you're back." Fang Ping was back. With him here, there was no need to worry about anything, no need to pretend. These days, the humans seemed to be prosperous, but in fact, the higher-ups were walking on thin ice. Today, there was finally no need to pretend anymore. Fang Ping laughed and nodded slightly. With a wave of his hand, in a faraway place, an island collapsed in an instant. On the island, thousands of martial artists turned into dust in an instant. The rebels who gathered in the sea area died one after another. 1,000 miles away, the sea area fluctuated. In the depths of the sea where no one could see, tens of thousands of demons turned into dust and disappeared without a trace. I'm back. A chuckle spread throughout the three realms. In the catacombs, beginners, demons, countless people crawled on the ground. Their bodies trembled. The human king returned. The three realms surrendered. West Palace. The teacup in Celestial Destiny's hand shattered. Celestial Destiny's entire body stiffened. He turned his head and looked into the distance. Even from hundreds of thousands of miles away, he seemed to see that person's half-smile. The corner of Celestial Destiny's mouth twitched. In the next moment, he suddenly rushed into the distance, knelt on a mound of soil, and wailed loudly, "Father, you died so tragically in the doomsday battle. Father, for the human race, for the human king, you did not hesitate to sacrifice yourself. I was useless, unable to participate in the battle. I could only guard your grave to show filial piety. I swear, if you do not resurrect, I will not leave West Palace. I will guard your grave until I die. Father, you must protect me in heaven. Father, you must watch over me. I will guard these few acres of land until I die. If I die, there will be no one to guard your grave." Celestial Destiny wailed loudly and kept repeating that Emperor Shi died for the human race. He would guard the grave here. For Emperor Shi, he would guard the grave for the rest of his life. As for what happened in the outside world, it had nothing to do with him. Fong Ping laughed again. Celestial Destiny, this guy, he did not know what Emperor Shi would think if he saw this scene. The three realms prostrated because of his return. Those with ambition died, one after another. On Chu mainland, some powerhouses also crawled on the ground with complicated expressions, their faces full of despair, completely losing the desire to fight for hegemony. The human king was alive. Just the mention of his return extinguished the ambitions of all living beings in the three realms. The human race would be the master of the 100 races. In the next moment, cheers rose in the three realms. Congratulations on the return of the human king. Excitement, joy, cheerfulness, relief, the human king had returned. Previously, it was rumored that Fong Ping was seriously injured and was recuperating in MCMAU. However, for a year, Fong Ping had not shown up. Recently, there were even rumors that Fong Ping had died in that battle. Although the human race did not believe it, it was inevitable that they would be afraid. Now that the human king had returned, all the pressure, fear, and panic disappeared instantly. There was only joy, only relief. In MCMAU, the cheers were earth-shattering. Fong Ping had returned. In the sea area, Fong Ping was also smiling. He sighed softly. This is what I wanted to hear. It's not something that the other realm can compare to. In his ear, someone sneered. That's true. The three realms are used to your shamelessness, but the underworld is not. They haven't figured out your preferences, and there aren't hundreds of millions of people calling the human king almighty. It was just that there was no flattery in the underworld. It was not as good as the three realms. Everyone was used to Fong Ping's hobbies. A little flattery would make the human king lose his bearings. Fong Ping could not help but laugh. In front of him, Chun Yunqi and the others looked at Fong Ping doubtfully. Fong Ping smiled. Can't see? In the next moment, Qin Fengqing's figure appeared beside him. The few of them were dumbfounded. They could not see Qin Fengqing before. Fong Ping laughed and explained. The world is divided into two. There's yin and yang. The three realms are the yang realm. Naturally, there's the underworld, and the underworld, when you die, you can go there. This is the wandering soul in the underworld. Qin Fengqing pursed his lips and muttered, when they get there, Aren't they also considered wandering souls? It's like they're superior to each other. The few of them were speechless for a moment. The underworld, the Yang realm, the dead were in the underworld. Did that not mean? At this moment, the few of them looked excited. Could it be that those who died were in the underworld? Fang Ping seemed to understand what they were thinking. He smiled and said, "That's right, they're all over there." Old Zhang became the vice-chancellor of Magic City University. Unfortunately, he's not good at teaching. Recently, Magic City University wanted to dismiss him. That guy bragged that he was a top-notch teacher. In the end, Magic City University's fighting style continued despite being banned. I'm afraid he's about to step down. Who asked the vice-chancellor to fight in person? The God-crafting envoy has been studying the Thunder Releaser recently. He has no time to come over here. The Earthly Emperor's family is studying how to perfect the Tao. Grandpa Chen seems to have taken a fancy to an old lady recently. Yunqi, maybe you're going to have a grandmother. Grandpa Fu died a little early. He's lost some of his memory. He seems to have some dementia. Recently, he's been saying that his grandson is the best in the world. Zhao Lei is teaching the Iron Head technique over there. He's been beaten up many times as a liar. I saw the old vice-chancellor over there. I thought he would still be a teacher. In the end, he didn't teach and went to pursue Nan Yunyue. Old Zhang is henpecked. He wanted to stop him, but his wife grabbed him by the ear and dragged him home. Fatty Jiang has become a gourmet over there. He's even fatter than before. Old Master Warlord has actually started fortune-telling again. It's a pity that he's too fat. No one believes him, and he has no business to do. Recently, he's been following Fatty Jiang to eat. Commander Li said that the world is at peace. He's not a soldier anymore. I don't know what he's thinking. He dragged a few old men to go farming. Senior Wu Chuan, Fang Ping smiled as he introduced the whereabouts of his acquaintances, gossiping about their scandals. Chun Yunqi and the rest listened with their mouths agape. At the same time, they could not help but feel excited and envious. They were really still here. Although they were not in this world, they knew that they were still here, still existing in this world. They were all filled with joy. In the doomsday battle, everyone had fallen. For the past year, no one said anything, but they could not help but feel sad. Now, they were extremely happy. They were living in the netherworld. Fu Changding could not help but ask, "What about Old Wang and the rest?" "Them?" Fang Ping laughed. "The few of them. I don't know if Ironhead was triggered by the last battle. He dragged Old Wang and Old Yao to fight one-on-one for a long time. He's too lazy to care about them. I don't know when they'll stop fighting." Fu Changding could not help but laugh. He looked at Qin Fengqing and asked curiously, "Then why did you bring this guy here?" Fang Ping laughed again. He said playfully, "I can't help it. Dad died in battle when he fought. No one cared. He's used to being lawless and arrogant. Now, not only Dad, the old vice-chancellor, and countless seniors want to teach him how to behave. Don't be too arrogant. He's provoked public anger. How can he not run away?" Behind him, Qin Fengqing pursed his lips. "This was not the point." Fang Ping continued. "The point is, do you remember that Zhou Qiue from Magic City Women's University? She's also there. Recently, she's been pestering him, insisting on marrying him. Do you think Zhou Qiue is blind? In the end, this guy is so scared that he doesn't dare to stay there anymore." Fu Changding and the rest could not help but laugh. Zhou Qiue. They remembered her. Wasn't she the one who Fang Ping made up to make Qin Fengqing think that she liked him? These two did not succeed in the world of the living, but they succeeded in the netherworld. Everyone talked and laughed. For a moment, the atmosphere was high. In the next moment, Chun Yunqi suddenly hesitated. Then, Instructor Li and Yuan Are they here too? Li Changsheng had disappeared with Fang Yuan, and the rest. There was no trace of them in the three realms. Chen Yunxi had suspected that they had fallen. However, she did not hear Fang Ping mention them now. Could it be that they were not in the netherworld? Old Man Li and Round Face. Fang Ping laughed bitterly, feeling a little helpless. A few of them looked suspicious. What happened to them? Did they not find them? Fang Ping sighed softly. During the battle that day, they left through the void barrier. I thought they were still in the three realms. Who knew? They weren't there. After the battle, I started looking for them. I only found their traces a few days ago. That's why I returned to the three realms now. It's to buy time for this matter. A few of them looked at him curiously. Chen Yunqi asked hurriedly, "You found them?" "Found them?" Fang Ping said helplessly. "Not yet. Old Man Li brought them into another seed's world by mistake. The situation there was similar to the three realms previously. The seeds there said that these fellows were all variables. They all had experience in dealing with final martial arts. They refused to let them go no matter what. They insisted on keeping them as variables. They would only let them go when the final martial arts was over. Old Man Li became a sword god over there. That fellow Round Face actually created a Yuan Ping club. They're having a lot of fun now. I think it'll take at least 3 to 5 years for them to settle down. I've talked to the seeds over there. They'll probably be back in a few years. Otherwise, if we force them to come back now, there might be a conflict. The few of them felt like they were dreaming. They went to another world. That worked too. Will there be any danger? Chun Yunxi was a little worried. Fang Ping laughed. That won't happen. The seeds over there are protecting them. They're considered children of destiny. It was the same for Celestial Emperor. Qin Fengqing muttered. Fang Ping sneered. Celestial Emperor is nothing. He's just a thug for the seeds. Our family's Round Face has me as his backer. Would the seeds over there dare to treat me as a thug? Besides, I'm just too lazy to start a conflict. It's not like I can't defeat that person. That fellow young god went over there before. I saw that there were fist marks left by Yang God on that person's body. Obviously, he can't even defeat Yang God. Maybe even Yang God is inside. Do you think I can't defeat that person? Fang Ping laughed. It's good to go and play for a few years. I've talked to Old Man Li. He said that he didn't have time to participate in the doomsday battle over here. He's always been unhappy. Now that he's participating over there, it's not too dangerous. Just treat it as a new experience. When the few of them heard this, they could not help but laugh. They did not expect the old man to be dissatisfied. Sending them away on the eve of the final battle was indeed a huge blow to Old Man Li. Chun Yunxi could not help but laugh too. Yuan has fulfilled her wish. Yuan Ping Club has finally grown stronger. Fang Ping, are the other worlds exciting? Fang Ping glanced at her and chuckled. If you want to see, there'll be a chance in the future. This chaos, this universe, is very, very big. If there's one world with seeds, then there'll be 2 more. Maybe there'll be countless of them. It'll never end. Beside him, Fu Changding winked and grinned. I'll accompany you to see thousands of universes and walk to the ends of the earth. TSK. Is this someone's new way of picking up girls? Fang Ping glanced at him, too lazy to respond. Chun Yunxi had a smile on her face. She did not reply, but her gaze toward Fang Ping was exceptionally gentle. Chapter 1491. Global Martial Arts wishes everyone a happy new year in advance. Let's talk about the new book. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to receive the latest update. Chapter 1492. Global High Martial Arts was very helpless and delayed the release of the book for a few days. Please wait for a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. Chapter 1493. I don't need to spend money on collecting and recommending books. I just want to make the data look better. Thank you, everyone. If you can't find the name of the book, you can directly search for the author's name, Eagle Eating Chicks. You can see that the name of the book is Eating Chicks and not Catching Chicks. Everyone, don't remember it wrong. Global High Martial Arts, new book released, seeking to collect and recommend. Currently typing, please wait a moment. After the content has been updated, please refresh the page to get the latest update. You're tuning in to the Mystic Fist YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.